Hi everyone and welcome to my Multishot Demon Hunter guide for solo push in Season 20. This is not exactly a new build, but Season 20 with the kinda cube theme makes it a little bit better than usual, and it's actually one of the better Demon Hunter builds out there right now. It's probably the second strongest build after Rapid Fire. Rapid Fire has a potential that is like around 3 to 5 tiers higher, but Multishot can still push up to 130 or so on the very high end. My goal right now is 128 with my character. You might have seen my solo clears. I did 124 already. And this is kind of like what you can expect. With the Season 20 season theme, we can replace our armor slot, which is not really that valuable, with conventional elements. And this makes the build a few tiers stronger because playing around conventional elements works very well with this build. And it just boosts your damage quite a lot. But for non-season or for future seasons, the whole setup stays exactly the same. You just don't play around convention. And in essence, you are like 3 tiers weaker or so. I also included the free plan link for both Season 20 and for the future as well. So let's go with the setup here. We have the Unhurled Essence set, of course. We have the Yang's recurve. We have the Demon's Legacy. These are the core Multishot items, and you really want those. And on top of that, we stack some toughness with Rapid Clarity, for example. We have Focus and Restraint for the extra damage. And we have a Squirt's Necklace. Squirt's Necklace is actually a very neat addition, since the last time we had Multishot in the meta, that was in Season 12 when it was the Multishot season. And now we have Squirts. Back then we used either Hellfire or Ezra Johan. And Squirts is really nice. So this definitely buffed the build by a bit because if you play well, if you dodge well and you don't get crazy elites that just constantly spawn frozen or plagued on you or something, you can actually have a pretty decent damage bonus from Squirts throughout the Rift, even without a shield mechanic. And on the Rift Guardian, generally this will be 100% anyway, and it's just a very, very strong bonus that probably buffs the build by 2 or 3 tiers if you use it well. In addition to that, we also have Captain Crimsons in this build now. So ever since they buffed the crafted sets, this has become very, very strong with Multishot, because you can have a Ring of Heroic Range in your cube, and you can get the Captain Crimson effect for a little bit of damage boost from your cooldown reduction. And you also save 3 cooldown rolls on your items. You don't need to roll cooldown anywhere because the Gem, Paragon, and Captain Crimson is enough for permanent Vengeance uptime with Dawn. And on top of that, we have a lot of resource cost reduction from Captain Crimson and Yang's recurve, effectively giving you all the toughness you need, combined with the Rapid Clarity. For pushing high end, we want to use the physical Multishot rune, so we also want to stack physical damage. There's a little bit of a debate between fire and physical pushing, and the general advice from me is that if you want to go really high and push it to the limit, you should go physical. Fire is overall better for like more consistency, but physical has higher potential. So with fire, you can also finish off your leads. You can kill the Rift Guardian more easily. You don't need any time for the Rift Guardian, pretty much like 1 minute is enough on a high end pushing tier, almost. And with physical, that all takes a little bit longer. And when you have some leftover elites at 30% HP, you cannot kill them. You have to skip them if there's like no trash around, for example. This doesn't really happen so much with fire. So overall, it's easier to play with fire because you don't have to rely on making really, really insane pulls. But I just want to mention physical is the end game. But the overall difference is very small. We're talking about around 1 tier or something. For your item rolls, you want to focus on discipline first. This is your most important stat. So on the chest, on the weapon, and on the quiver, you want to have discipline. Any item that doesn't have discipline is unusable in those slots. Other than that, you stack tons of area damage. Air damage is extremely strong, especially for the physical version of the build, because you rely on big pulls, and area damage will help you clear those. Attack speed is also fine, for example on the gloves or on the ring. Also average damage on the ring is fine. So generally I would prefer area damage, then average damage, then attack speed. Overall attack speed, average damage and area damage are quite close anyway. So if you get like a nice focus with area damage and double crit, and then you get a restraint with attack speed and double crit, this is perfectly fine. I wouldn't really try to get another one, but if you can choose, I would go in this order of priority. Other than that, you can stack a little bit of resource cost reduction, for example on the shoulders. This is like a free slot for some resource cost reduction that helps you out a bit to spam more multi-shots and also gives you survivability. If you get resource cost reduction on some other slots, it's not terrible. It's not really the good DPS stat, but it helps you out a bit. Also make sure that you have at least 1 item with life per hit. This really helps you to survive in the big pulls when you have like multiple leads. And typically that's the bracers. So in bracers you can replace vitality with life per hit. And your toughness drops a bit, but it helps you a lot to stay alive in those really long, really hard fights. And you should definitely try to get one. Otherwise, the weapon also works, and the weapon has a doubled value roll. So it's not that bad. For the skill setup, we have the typical stuff. We have Multishot, of course. We have Evasive Fire for Generator to proc focus and to give us some hatred sometimes. we have Vengeance Thief. You can run Dark Heart, it doubles your toughness, but you lose the hater regeneration. It is an option, especially on a lower end when you're struggling to survive, but generally the build is tanky enough to not really be much in trouble. Then we have Vault, of course, to move around. We have Preparation, Invigoration, giving us another 20 max discipline, so this is a nice damage boost. And I have Smokescreen this build. The reason to take Smokescreen over Wolf is the Squirt's Necklace. The average benefit of a Squirt's Necklace is much higher when you can time it with Smokescreen, because, you know, there's like Thunderstorm elites, there's ghosts, there's like archers shooting at you and so on, and you lose your Squirts quite easily when you don't have Smokescreen. And I managed to keep it up quite well. So if you play around elite affixes, if you time your Smokescreen, you can actually have be really good cross uptime. And even without convention cycles, if you just get an Oculus Ring and 100% squirts, you can do some insane damage. It's essentially like a free convention nuke. On top of that, it also makes you much more tanky, because you simply evade so many attacks that would otherwise hit you. And with Smokescreen, they just, you know, do nothing, and you don't even need to stack so much toughness. Keep in mind, your discipline is also your damage. And losing 1 point of discipline is roughly a 1.2% DPS loss. So with the typical resource cost reduction values you have, Smokescreen is going to cost somewhere between 4.5 and 5.5 discipline. So it's not exactly for free. And when you press it too much, you will, you know, drain your discipline and not do so much damage anymore. Our passives here are full DPS. We have Fill of the Hunt to apply the slow for Bane of the Trapped and Call the Weak, which is our second passive. And then we have Ambush and Steady Aim. You can replace most likely Steady Aim if you want to go with a defensive option like Awareness. So if you feel like you're dying too much, then you can do that, and you're going to lose a lot of damage, and you will be fine. For the gameplay, you go into a rift and essentially make trash pulls as fast as possible. This build works really well on just trash, and elites are kind of like a bonus that you kill sometimes. So you want to go into a rift, you can spam some evasive fires in all directions. Try to avoid using Multishot for pulling, because of Thrill of the Hunt, you slow them. And as soon as they walk towards you, you can start spamming Multishots. Try to get a few targets low and spawn an Oculus Ring for your nuke. Jump in, press your Smokescreen a bit, maybe start a step around or just some archers shooting at you or something. And then you can do like insane nukes doing Oculus, and with Squirts uptime and potentially convention, you do a lot of damage. The good thing about this build is the mobility and the survivability. So you really have to capitalize on those two factors. You can skip entire levels without any trouble, because you can vault so much, and then you can press Preparation and vault more. And essentially, even if you run out of discipline, you can just, you know, let them kill you, and you get back to full discipline and you can keep going. So this is like a nice strategy sometimes when you have like really long bad Suez maps or something. Just let them kill you at the end when you have 0 discipline, and you get back to full immediately. Of course, don't do that all the time, but, you know, once or twice during a run is totally fine. And then you just search for the good pulls. You want, you know, juicy, like 20 plus monsters in your pull or so, and just blast it down with Multishot. Don't waste your time on elites, especially with the physical version. You cannot kill single targets, really. It takes way too long, and if killing it off an elite takes longer than like 20-30 seconds without any other trash dying nearby, then it's not worth. Just keep going. And since you're so mobile, do not be afraid to, you know, just go to floor 4, floor 5, floor 6 sometimes. You don't really require these insane rifts to push relatively high. It's just like a really high-end push on Multishot, where you need like a nice Festering Woods or Battlefields map or something, where you can actually, you know, finish off all the elites, and then you can, you know, push it a little bit higher, like 2 or 3 tiers or so. Also try to play around your SHR procs from your follower, so you want to have that amulet on your follower, and whenever you see the proc happen, you should immediately start nuking a bit, at least to get the trash a little bit lower, and then, you know, prepare an Oculus nuke or something. This really helps to you know, just clear out this trash, and then you keep going. When you have really big pulls with like 3+ elite packs, it's almost impossible to keep up your squirt sometimes, so you should not really try to play around that too much in those cases. But, you know, whenever you have like one elite pack and it just has something like Thunderstorm or like maybe Frozen, then you can definitely, with good timing, keep up your squirts for the nukes, and then you could do really nice damage. Otherwise, try to prioritize staying far away from your enemies. We have Steady Aim, and also you have Zaze, so you want to stay almost the entire screen away for maximum Zaze benefit. And if that is not always possible, then it's not so bad, especially when you get Oculus Rings. Oculus Rings are always preferable to Zaze, unless, you know, you would drop your squirts. So you kind of have to decide, you know, moment to moment, where you're going to position yourself. and then see, if an Oculus Ring spawns in a really nice spot, jump in, press smoke screen, and just blast. Otherwise, try to stay far away, keep up your squirts maybe, and like this you will also deal good damage. And that's about it for this guide. Hope you liked it and it's gonna help you. I have a couple multi-shot clears on my YouTube channel already, so check those out if you haven't and you want to see more of the build in action. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time.